I had 13 violent assault charges. You can have all the things, but having money, having a good job, that's not where true fulfillment comes from.
We're going to write a book, and this is how it's going to start.
There's usually drinking involved in that, too.
You just got to keep going.
What is this all for? Looking back, what's the point of it all? What is the point of it all? Well, hello, Raf. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
So you have a really interesting backstory, probably one of the most interesting backstories that we will ever have on the point of it all. You have been literally at rock bottom and then changed your life in a way to put you on a trajectory to the very tippy top, which is something that so many people aspire to do and will find inspiration in. So I'm really interested to hear your backstory. Tell me about your childhood growing up.
So childhood, really interesting. My biological father, he died 2 weeks before I was born.
Oh, man.
So yeah, boating accident.
Get out.
Yeah. He
Wow.
was on the Brooklyn Harbor 2 weeks from being born,
Oh, man.
celebrating having a boy.
Oh, man.
And yeah, there was an explosion, and 3 days later, he passed away. So my childhood was me, my mom, my older sister, and
How much older is your sister?
2.5 years.
Okay, so you're pretty close in age.
We're pretty close. Yeah.
Did you get along growing up? Or
Yeah, we did.
Did she bully you?
No. My sister, she was the, I guess, more straight edge of us. So when I got into my teens, there was a little bit of friction because I was such a loose cannon, but we had a really good relationship, and we have a really good relationship now.
Awesome. Does she live near you? Or are you in different states?
All my entire family's in New Jersey.
Gotcha. Okay, so that was a big leap. We'll get to that part. Okay, so tell me about your troubled youth. You know it's coming.
Yeah. So I had my mom remarried about 9 years later. Stepfather is a phenomenal man. We have a great relationship. But
Awesome.
me, this young person who was always told that I was the man of the house.
Oh,
since
right.
I was like 5 years
at
old.
9 years old, this is your house.
At 9 years old, this is like you're coming into my turf, buddy.
I think this is common, right?
So I was very rebellious, and I just started acting out. Starting in my, mid-teens, like 16 years old, started selling pot, like nickel and dime bags. And fast forward 3 years, I actually, I had like an organization.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that actually makes sense. You have the personality to build an organization.
I've always been entrepreneurial. That was probably not the best business
Maybe not
to
the
build.
first one. Hey, everything happens for a reason. That showed you a path. You just had to convert it to a legal operation.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, I grew up in a really nice town in Bergen County, New Jersey. Small neighborhood, not growing up in the hood. Brothers and sisters never really got in trouble. And then there's me, the black sheep. I totally went off the rails. Lots of fights, lots of doing things that I shouldn't have been doing, which led to me around 19 years old getting incarcerated.
Oh, man. Your
And
poor mother.
it was pretty ugly. I
bet.
had 13 violent assault charges
Wow,
and
Raf.
drug trafficking.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, how much time did you serve for that?
I ended up serving 2 years of a 5-year sentence.
Good behavior?
I did. I got out because I had the drug charges. My lawyer basically said he needs rehabilitation. He needs to get out.
Right, which is true.
When I went from county, because when you're going in and out of court, you're in county before they move you to federal prison. So I'll never forget when I went in there, my roommate said, you have to go in swinging. So
Oh, man.
my first, my
You must
first
have been
month,
terrified.
yeah, it sucked. And,
Yeah.
you go in, and everything about federal prison is very different than being in a county facility.
Oh, for sure. Hardened criminals.
Yeah. And I ended up,
And you were a kid
and I ended up serving time in solitary confinement.
for going
So-
in swinging.
For going in swinging. I went in swinging, and then they put me in for 24 hours, and I came out swinging again. They put me in for 3 hours. So it ended up being a total of 27 days that I spent in
Oh
there.
my gosh.
So
Well, there's some contemplation space and
you have a
time.
lot of time to think. Definitely a lot of time to think.
So how the hell did you go from that to building the empire that you've built now?
Uh, my mother. I wanted to share about my father because that really, my father passing away is what set the stage for everything. Because I grew up looking at my mom like a superhero.
Oh, your mom is
She,
a superhero, I'm sure.
yeah, she lost her husband. 2 weeks later,
Oh,
I pop out
can't even imagine.
and she gave up her, my mom was a banker. She was in finance and gave up her career to take care of me and my sister. And I've always, it's just you grow up and it's just you and mom. And she was always so protective of me.
And you must be so protective of her,
Yeah. And that's also another one of the reasons why I got locked up.
right?
Somebody threatened my mom and I just wasn't having that.
So how did you get inspired to overcome and find a healthier path for your entrepreneurial spirit?
She came in after I finally got visitation privileges, and it gets me emotional talking about it. This
I'm
this was
sure.
this was the day that flipped everything in my life. She looked at me in the eyes and she said, Raf, the day that your father died, I lost a piece of my soul.
Oh.
That was my best friend. And the reason that I stayed so strong is because I thought I would see him again in you.
Oh.
She said, I thought I would see my best friend. She said, you're not him and I don't ever want to see you again.
Oh, Raf.
And that moment, it was the first moment in a long time. Like, I don't know what was wrong. I completely was off the deep end. Even when I got locked up, there was no emotion. I didn't care.
Well, you had a callus over your emotions
I
because
was
you were
just
protecting yourself.
yeah, it was just this dark hole. And that cracked me open. I started crying. I probably cried for like 3 days. And then I told myself that I'm going, I don't know how, but I'm going to change. And
You're going to become the man she wants you to be. That she
exactly.
knew you could be.
So part of the drive that I still have today is not just to make my mother proud of me, but I heard so many amazing stories about my father. And I remember years later, I'm 23 years old, and I sat down and I said, Mom, tell me about Dad. And, I had heard about him, but she never really told me what my father was really like. And she lit up. She sat down and we
Oh.
talked for 3 hours about how incredible this man was. And I've been chasing that for the past 2 decades, ever since I've gotten out of there, to try to fit in the shoes of what I believe to be an incredible man.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure he is incredibly proud of you if he's looking over you now because you've done amazing things. You've filled his shoes and then some, I'm sure. So after all that change, what did you rise up from the ashes to become?
A lot of things. At first, believe it or not, I was a massage therapist.
No, I don't believe that, actually. I didn't see that hook coming.
I studied anatomy and physiology and I got into massage. And years later, I was in New Jersey at the time. The laws in New Jersey changed and I still had a felony, even though I hadn't gotten in trouble. I was a great person for 7 years. Massage therapy got put under the Board of Nursing. And they take your fingerprints and they do a background
Darn
check.
it.
So I lost a career. I was doing sports massage on athletes and it just completely went away. I went with my lawyer to a judge and he said, hey, this guy's going to lose his job. Can we expunge his record early? Because you could do it after 10 years. And the judge said, absolutely. We don't want to hold him back. But that process takes 9 months.
Darn.
So I just decided that I don't know how. I always wanted to be a New York City businessman. So I just put on a suit and I started applying for jobs. I got hired.
So maybe there was a reason why the universe intervened there on your first career choice and put you on the path for the second one.
I ended up getting hired by this little small recruiting agency. I'll never forget, Cutting Edge. And when I say small, it was on 28th and Broadway. Their office was the size of a closet, much, much smaller than this room that we're sitting in right now. I was person number 4. I won't even say employee because it was the 2 co-owners, one other person, and then me.
So you're the second employee.
I was a second employee, and I was cold calling. I didn't even know what a recruiter was. I just started cold calling companies, and one of the companies had like actually responded to my call. They said, "Hey, are you really an expert in this?" I said, "Absolutely." And he said, "Okay, because this is a problem. We need talent, and we're losing money. If you can meet me at my office, I'll fly in my directors. They're in Chicago." And I
And you were
just,
how old at this point?
this is like, I'm in my 30s now.
Okay.
So I'm like 30, 31. And I couldn't believe it. I turned to the other person that was working there, the other employee. I said, "John, what is Omnicom?" He's like, "You talk to Omnicom?" I said, "Yeah, who's that?" He said, "Omnicom's like the second or third largest ad agency in the world." I was like, "Well, they're going to meet with me on Monday. They're flying people in." And Betsy, the owner, she says, "Raf, you got to go home and don't come back here for the next few days. Study and show up like you're
You know,
actually an expert."
right.
And I ended up filling jobs for them. And I'll never forget the guy who hired me, Peter Movizian. He led talent acquisition for this massive company. So he was a chief talent officer. He ended up calling me, hiring me, and he didn't even look at my resume because I just delivered him as a client. And within 5 years, I was right underneath him.
Awesome. Awesome.
So I was in advertising. I led talent acquisition for 5 of the Omnicom agencies. I started in media, went to pharmaceutical advertising, and when I finally got up there, I realized that it was great, but there was really something missing. And I always had, since I got out of prison, there was always this urge in me to want to help people that hit rock bottom.
Right.
So I always wanted to build like a coaching business. I just didn't know how to do it. And to be quite honest, I didn't have the courage to do it.
Right.
I made it all the way to a multiple 6-figure salary. I was making over $200,000 a year working at this amazing company.
And you probably had some guilt. I should be happy. I should be fulfilled. I have everything.
Yeah.
I set my goals and now I've achieved them. Why do I feel like something's missing? Right.
And I think that's one of the key pieces to life. I think that most people fail to realize until they actually get there,
Yeah,
is
I
that
agree.
you can have all the things, but having money, having a good job, that's not where true fulfillment comes from.
Right. I think you're right.
And I think throughout life, we try all these different things. And I think we should try different avenues. Like I did massage therapy.
Well, and
I
when
did-
you're young and you can't even make rent or fill up your fridge,
Yeah.
and then making money is important. But once all of our basic human needs are met, it becomes less so as we evolve beyond that basic level of survival.
And you have to just get to that place where you finally find it. You know it's it, and you'll know. I feel like you'll just know. Like I had this passion, and it was burning inside me, and I knew for the longest time, I just I just couldn't get myself to go do it. And that's a story that I hear
Every day.
every day. People, I coach people now how to build businesses, and everybody, it's not the time. It's going to be too hard. Oh, I have kids. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have that. It's all the list.
I could lose
of,
everything.
yeah. And
Right.
what I look at is what happens on my last day.
Yes. Right.
What happens when I take my last breath? Am I
Right.
going to look back at my life and am I going to say, I'm really glad that I got that bonus? I'm really glad that I climbed the corporate ladder?
Worked those extra hours.
Yeah.
Stayed late at the
None of
office.
that's going to matter. What's going to matter is, did I pursue something that I truly believe was a meaningful pursuit in my life?
I wonder how many people make it all the way to their deathbed before they realize that fact. I wonder how many people are as lucky as you are and as I am to figure that out while they still have some years left to
They
make a
s-
correction.
and they say that it's unfortunate that the graveyard is one of the most valuable places in the world, because that is where so many people take their last breath with their hopes and their dreams and their aspirations inside of
Still
them.
unfulfilled. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. So, how did you transition then from your corporate job to helping people?
Um, it was a really rough start.
As most entrepreneurship journeys are.
Yeah, it
At
was.
least most of mine have been.
It was really interesting because I actually, the first book on personal development that I ever read was Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within.
I love that book.
I read that while I was in prison. So when I came out, I started following Tony, and Tony, his partner Dean Graziosi, they came out with a course that was geared towards teaching you, if you wanted to build a coaching business, it showed you the steps how to do it.
Right. I'm familiar. I've
So
heard of it.
I'll never forget, I told Priscilla, my wife, I said, hey, there's this course. It's kind of expensive. It's like $2,000, but I really want to do this. She's like, you've been talking about this for years. Just do it. Just try it.
Right.
So I bought the course. I started studying, and I opened up an Instagram, and that was it. I just started posting very unsuccessfully for like over almost 2 years that I just had no idea what I was doing.
And so what changed things for you? When did your course change directions and you started to be successful in it?
Every once in a while, you have to have someone in your life, I think, that believes in you more than you do.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
that was my wife for me, because
I was hoping you were going to say that. I love your relationship with Priscilla. It's such a beautiful and special thing.
I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for her. And I'll never forget when you're working a job that you don't love and you're trying to pursue something and it's not happening, it kills your soul.
I know it does.
And it was so miserable.
And it probably killed her soul to watch you come home at the end of every day with your light dimmed like that, because she knows how bright you could shine.
So hard to build this, like waking up at 4:30, working until I had to go get on the train to go to New York City.
I've been on that train.
Coming home after a 10-hour day in the office, a 1-hour commute in and out, and then working until midnight. And so I wasn't half in, I was all in, and I just didn't know what I was doing. And there was a day where I sat on my bed, and I'll never forget, I put a pillow to my face, and I had tears in my eyes, and I screamed. And she came up, I don't even know where she was. I was staring blankly out the window, and she just comes up. I didn't even hear her come in the house. She puts her hand on my back, and she's like, did you quit? And I'm like, no, what do you mean? She's like, I haven't seen you do anything. I feel like you gave up. You can't give up. You're really good at this. You have to keep going. And it chokes me up thinking about it, because
How many people do you think have got to that point where they want to quit and they didn't have somebody like Priscilla to give them that inspiration? And like you said, then their dreams die inside of them because they were so damn close when they gave up. I mean, what a tragedy that
so many people.
there's so many dead fairy tales come out of quitting right when you were about
Right before you're about to strike
to
gold.
make it. Yeah, exactly. So tell me about striking gold. How'd that go? I want to hear that part of the story.
I ended up hiring a coach, and I said, I can't do this the same way. I made my first 2 sales ever.
Woohoo!
And I got excited on a group coaching call. I walked downstairs, and I'll never forget, Thursday evening. And I look at Priscilla, and keep in mind, I made 2 sales.
Yeah, oh, but that's okay.
Yeah. And I said, babe, what do you think if I resign? I'm just going to give up my job? And I'll never forget, she's on her computer. She turns around and she says, yeah, do it.
What took you so long?
And I'm looking at her. I'm like, did you hear me? My career, this and that. And she's like, yeah, I've been waiting for you to do this. So
what
to
took
have
you so long?
have that
Right.
behind me,
Amazing.
I put in my resignation the next day.
Awesome.
And
How good did that feel?
amazing and scary
And
at the
terrifying,
same time.
yeah.
Terrifying,
Yeah.
absolutely terrifying. First year in business, not amazing. Just paying the bills. I went from making over 200,000 a year to making like,
Going like, hey, Priscilla, can I get $20?
yeah, pretty much. I'm like just covering the bills. And I even told her, I said, we're not going on vacation.
Right.
Like we're not going out to eat. Like we're going to we're downgrading to ramen type of thing.
Hey, I've been on the ramen diet.
But
Got it.
you just got to keep going.
Yeah.
And you have to keep going, and you have to keep learning and executing. And you're always gonna fumble. But I'll never forget one day, it was the first time that I had to like show my financials to a bank as an entrepreneur to get a loan. And I was like, oh, babe, we did it. I'm like
On paper.
it was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm like, here it is. And the crazy thing about that is my head was so deep in my work that I didn't really care about. Like once I was able to pay the bills, it wasn't about that anymore.
Right.
It's not a job that I have. It's not a business that I
Now
run.
it's a passion
It's
project.
it's a passion and it's a mission that I have to help more entrepreneurs bring their dream to life. And I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I ended up going into this like speaker competition for Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. I was in their Facebook group because years before I bought their course, and somebody said, "Raf, they're doing this competition. You should just do it." So there was like 2,000 people that went into this competition. They immediately cut it down to like 200. And lo and behold, I'm one of like the last 4 people standing.
Amazing.
And so I had done some work for them and I was like supplementing my income while I was building my own business. And I came out here to Arizona. Lo and behold, they had a studio out here and the team is like, well, you're here in Arizona. We're doing a live event. You should come here and see how we actually do it. I'm like, wow, okay, amazing. And at this time, business is going great. I'm really confident in what I do. And Dean Graziosi, Tony's partner, looks at me and he's like, "What do you think?" And I was like, "It's okay." And it just so sometimes that miracles will happen, but you have to be walking towards something.
Exactly.
Like God can't steer a parked ship.
Right.
That day was my day that I struck gold. I couldn't believe that I even said that to him because he was like a celebrity to me at the time. But he said, "Well, can you build us a program?" And I said, "This is what I do. I teach coaches how to build businesses now. Like I'm obsessed with this. I can build you a program in the next 2 weeks." He's like, "Okay, well, if you build it, we'll buy it." So I sold that program. I'll never forget. I sold it for $100,000. And within 72 hours, they made like 12 million off of it.
Yeah. And you
they're
went,
like,
woohoo, I made a ton of money. Damn, I
Yeah.
got suckered.
so they were like, "Raf, this is amazing. Can you build us another one?" And I was like, I got to negotiate a little bit better here.
Yeah, right.
So lo and behold, I'll never forget his chief revenue officer reached out. He's like, "We want to do a lot of work with you. What do we need to pay you?" I said, I'm not going to work for anyone. I have a business. And so he comes back to me and he said, "Give us a number. What is it going to take for you to walk away from that? You don't have to be an employee. We'll give you an equity stake in the company and you'll build your own business unit." And I was like, "What? Come again?" So I gave them a number. And lo and behold, like a day later, he turns around. He's like, "Yeah, well, we don't want to nickel and dime you or anything. Like, we'll check some financials just to make sure that, we're on par. But yeah, if that's it, like, we'll send you over a check. When can you start?"
Oh, amazing.
So that was absolutely wild. So I went from not being able to I literally couldn't make $1 for 2 years, literally not a single dollar.
But those 2 years when you weren't making a single dollar, you were putting in the work, the blood, sweat, and tears. You were building the foundation.
Yeah.
That's sometimes it doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere at all, but you're planting the seeds. This episode is brought to you by Blue Jay Media. Blue Jay is a video production company that works with entrepreneurs and businesses of all sizes. From local brands to national chains, they've been behind all of Namaste Yoga's marketing content since before we even ever launched. If you're in need of a commercial, social media content, even event coverage, or maybe even thinking about starting your own podcast, give my friends at Blue Jay a call. You don't need to be a CEO, a CFO, a salesperson, and a marketing team for your business. Let Blue Jay take the content creation side off of your plate so that you can focus on what you really love to do. Visit bluejayaz.com and tell them that Ashley sent you. So I think, and I already knew before I asked you to be on the podcast, that your life story is just the most interesting one I could ever think of. Your story, it just endears you to everyone that you meet and inspires everyone that you meet. So what are you up to now? What's Raf's daily grind look like now? What are you working on?
I run a coaching company. So I teach other coaches who are looking to build online businesses to do what I've done. My mission is really to help as many entrepreneurs as possible have the feeling that I had when I quit my job and realized I get to spend the rest of my life doing something that I love. So I have a business partner out in Vegas, and it's phenomenal. It's it's exactly it's exactly what I want for the rest of my life. I had a student ask me, "Where do you see yourself in 10 years?" And I said, "Right here, because this is my mission."
Don't want to do anything else.
That's it.
So it's all been nice, easy sailing then ever since.
No.
The Tony Robbins deal solidified life of ease.
Yeah, no, it was not a life of ease.
Okay, tell me what happened.
That 3 years I spent working with them, and I built a business unit from. I took it from zero because it didn't exist before I was there, to 48 million at 63% margin.
Wow.
Shaved a few years off my life. Didn't really sleep much.
Yeah.
But I learned.
That's what happened to your hair.
Yeah, it's why I'm bald. But I learned everything that you can possibly think of how to scale one of these businesses. How do I get started, and how do I scale to multiple 7 and even 8 figures? So I was just blessed. That was a great experience. And then there was a period of time where they're like scientists. Tony is, they do hundreds of millions of dollars a year. And when they find a system that works, they stick to it. So when I finally built my final program, it was 3 years of building, tearing down, refining. When they found one that finally just knocked it out of the
perfect.
park, they said, okay, that's it. We're going
done.
to keep it. And you're just going to keep getting up on stage and doing the same thing. And I'm not comfortable not growing.
Right.
And at this time, I had an opportunity to work on some other people's very high profile individuals, building coaching programs for them. So I had an opportunity presented to me for a fairly famous person in the US to go build something for them. They offered me a wild amount of money. So I decided, I'm going to take a leap. I'm going to walk away. And people thought I was absolutely crazy. People would have absolutely killed for the position that I was
opportunity
in.
you had. Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's not about the money that I'm making.
It's about the growth.
It's about
stagnation.
Growth. It's about growth. So I went to this new opportunity, and 3 months into it, the person who was building it got in a massive legal trouble with his other business somewhere, and the whole project just came to a crashing halt. And I'll never forget sitting there. I'm like,
whoops.
I walked away from one of the biggest stages in the world, and everything just completely came crashing down.
So what does a resilient guy such as yourself do when everything comes crashing down?
Never stop.
Yeah, that's a fact. Thank God for Priscilla.
It's all perspective. Your life, no matter what happens, your life is only as good as your perception. If I perceive this as being the worst thing in the world, it's going to be the worst thing in the world.
Right.
We get to place the meaning on the things that happen to us in life. And I, for a moment there, almost shook myself up, but I just always thought back to, like, I always think back. What's really funny is sometimes, like, I sit like this, and this is how they would chain me when they would transport me. And I sit like that because it makes me remember, if that didn't break me, nothing else can.
Yes, exactly.
So I just said, this is the best thing that ever happened. It is going to springboard me to my next
new opportunity.
And I'm going to put my head down, and I am going to build something that the world will never forget.
And what have you built?
I built a really incredible coaching business. We're a global company right now, fairly small in terms of I don't have a giant team, but the business has continued to scale, and we're helping more and more and more and more coaches. I've coached now over 1,200 people to build, launch, and scale successful coaching businesses.
Amazing.
And my goal is to be the best person that's ever done it, and to be a company. It's called Real Coach. And I call it Real Coach because there's a lot of frauds out there.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the big people, they don't live up to their promises. And a real coach is someone who delivers what they promise and who actually has a heart to help and serve people. And I'm going to mint so many real coaches in my program that if you're a fraud in the next 5 years,
You're going
you're
out.
going to suffocate.
Exactly.
That's
I
it.
love it. I think it's such an important life lesson too that so many people don't understand when they fear failure is I'm going to fail and start over at the beginning. But you don't start over at the beginning. You start over knowing what you're talking about because you have all the lessons that you learned in the last round with you. And so it's so much easier to rebound the second, third, fourth, 15th time because you learn something every time that you fell down. And I think that's something that I know people come to me a lot and say, oh, I could never be an entrepreneur. It's too scary. I count on my paycheck. Wouldn't want to have to start all the way over at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But as we grow and evolve and change, we don't forget what we learned. You still had all the skills that you needed to be a powerful business coach without Tony Robbins.
Yeah. And we built it became a multi-million-dollar company in under a year.
Right, because you didn't start from the beginning, and if we could inspire people to know something, I would love for people to know that we don't have to start over. We always start from somewhere new when things fall apart. So thank you so much for sharing. So Raf, if anybody in the whole world can answer this question, it's you. We've discovered. What's the point of it all? What are we doing? What's the why? What's our purpose here?
I truly believe that there's a few things. First thing is find your gift, realize that it is a gift, that it was given to you. And if you have an idea of that business that you want to build or that thing that you want to do, like just go do it and be happy, because all the money in the world and the safety that you get with your 9 to 5, that pales in comparison to you living a life on fire, waking up and doing something that you're truly passionate about and sharing those gifts that you've been given with the world. So,
and I need this would benefit me personally, and I know a lot of other people too, but it can be so absolutely nerve-wracking and intimidating to put yourself out there. I'm building ashleyockery.com and the podcast, a podcast host and an author and a coach and all of those things. And it can be so intimidating and feel so narcissistic to put yourself out there as a brand. And so I know for many, many years, I stopped myself from doing that out of imposter syndrome or embarrassment or what will people think? And how do you coach your coaches through having the nerve, the guts to put themselves out there as a brand and recognize those strengths and feel like they're giving a gift and sharing something rather than doing something self-serving that feels a little bit intimidating?
I talk about the opportunity cost. What happens if you don't do it? What happens if one day you wake up and you wish you could have, should have, you would have, and you don't have another day? My mentor, and he's also my business partner, he asked me a question, and he's like famous for saying this right now. Like, if I gave you a check right now for $10 million, would you be super happy? And it's like, yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Whoa, well, that would be amazing. And he said, okay, well, what if I gave it to you, but you don't get to wake up the next day? Would you take it?
Right.
And so I think to fully answer that question is waking up and realizing that this day is a gift. It's a gift that was given to you. Your challenges that you went through in life, those were a gift because they forced you to dig deeper inside yourself and find something that was always there, but you just didn't recognize. Every experience that you've gone through in life has molded you to be this person. So to look in the mirror, what we have to really say to ourselves is, I'm enough. And what I am right now is exactly what the world needs, because somebody out there right now needs to hear something. And they don't need to hear it from the next celebrity or the next influencer. They need to hear it only the way that you can say it. And there is no way to get comfortable with it other than to do it. So you just move forward in blind faith. And over time, that courage and confidence repays you because you learn to trust yourself. So every time I've failed, just like my last big fall when it just all falls apart, I've learned to just trust me.
Mhm.
And I know that this is a gift. It's not even me. It's something that moves through me. And
You're just getting out of the way.
that takes the pressure off of you.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's so huge. I think that there are so many people on this earth with gifts and passions and something to share, and fear holds them back. Fear of failure, embarrassment, financial hardship, and to come to the table with that perception that this is just something that I'm my calling, something that I'm put on this earth to do, something that I'm a conduit for, and I have to just get out of the way and let it happen and stop blocking that from happening, cuz I know that I've done it pretty much my whole entire life, and I think most people have. You say, "I think this might be a good idea, but I'm pretty scared. I don't think I'm going to do it," or somebody will think I'm silly, or somebody else probably already did it better than that anyway. And we hold ourselves back with these self-limiting beliefs. And where do you find inspiration? Are there favorite books, favorite speakers? Who helps you when you're in a dark place and you're not feeling inspired or you're stuck? How do you get moving again?
Um, I've read a lot of personal development. It could just be a quick quote. I love just reading quotes. Something like, I think it was Henry Ford. He said, when the airplane takes off, remember that it takes off against the wind and not with it.
Right.
And that always,
Inspiring.
it's a reminder to me that as I'm moving forward in this journey, it's not supposed to be easy. And this is what everybody, I think, needs to really understand, comprehend, and ingrain in their DNA. When you start doing the thing, because I know so many people that start, I don't know a lot of people that finish, but so many people start and then they get to this point where it feels like they're going nowhere.
Right.
I call it entering the dark room. And I call it the dark room because it's like the door closes behind you. You don't know how close you are to your goal. You don't know how far you've gone. And it feels like nobody can see you and nobody can hear you. And like you're all alone, just walking on this journey. And so many people give up.
Right.
That dark room is part of the journey. It is a necessary part of the journey. And without it, we never find the best pieces of ourselves. If there wasn't a dark room, everyone would do it. I mean, it
Right.
would just be easy.
Right.
And
You know what? If it was easy, though, would it still be worth it?
no, it wouldn't.
I mean, that's why the things are so worth it, why we're so proud of our achievements and our accomplishments. And we feel so good because they almost killed us.
Yeah. And then one day you get to open your eyes and take one step forward and realize that you're living your dream.
Right.
And I think that is the point of it all, is not to be, have, or do anything. But the real point for me, aside from all of that, truly is the pursuit.
Right.
Because I've realized as a motivated individual, I will never reach the finish line, because as soon as I get close, I have a new goal.
You got to move the finish line.
I'm always going to be behind.
Right.
But what I take pride in and what makes me happy is that I get to spend my life fearlessly pursuing the things that light me up. And no matter what happens on that journey, that's the best life you can live.
Amazing. So well put. I had a really similar sort of awakening experience. I've started, as much as I own a yoga studio, I do a lot of meditate, or a lot of talk about meditation, a lot of training in meditation. We have meditation workshops and all of that, but I've really never had a daily meditation practice. And I recently read a book that inspired me, and I've had this daily meditation practice, and a lot of it is sitting in visualization of what is your perfect life, and we're going to manifest this perfect life. And like 5 days in a row, I just sat there and cried because I realized I'm in it. I'm doing it. This is it.
That's beautiful.
And it's like, wow, there's the point of it all, right? Waking up in the morning and going, I already manifested it.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm living it. I wanted it. I worked for it. And now it is my life. And I think that's the point of it all, man. Let's not leave that on the table.
Let's not.
Thank you, Raf, so much for coming on the show.
Thank
It means
you.
the world to us.